Welcome to yet another exciting time of great ideas right here on Nerds Unite. And hey, the unity is supreme because for the very first time, MainOne, an Equinix company, is bringing you Nerds Unite. I'm your host. My name is Rufai Hosseini, and it promises to be an exciting conversation today because we know that we have borderless opportunities and borderless growth when we collaborate and we come together. So thank you so much to all of our partners and our customers. The global power of interconnections, that's what we're going to be talking about today. That's why the event is themed around that. And it promises to be a great and exhilarating time. So before we start, some quick housekeeping. Participants should be muted. We apologize once again for starting a little bit behind schedule. You can also use the Q&A box. It's out there for you when you have questions. And I'll please tell you that you can start sending your questions in for the two panel sessions once they start. Secondly, we have an exhibition booth out there that you can be part of. And all registered participants will receive copies of presentation deck. And I must tell you, these are very good tools you can use and vital information for you. Thank you so much. We've got loads and loads of people joining us right here. And I can see the participant count increasing by the minute. But without wasting any much of your time, I'd like to call on the visionary, the founder of MainOne, an Equinix company, to sort of like chart a roadmap for us and tell us, the exciting, wonderful possibilities of great things we can do together with our customers and our clients. Funke Okpeke is set out to bring about a lot of innovation in the system. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Executive of MainOne, Funke Okpeke, I present to you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nerds Unite 2022. We thank all of you for joining us this morning, our customers, our partners, and all of you who have stayed with us and engaged with MainOne through the pandemic period and online through Nerds Unite 2021, and we're gathered again together this morning. During this period, you have also joined us through other webinars and events as we have adjusted our ways of doing business to what is now the new normal. And indeed, this paradigm shift is something we could not have anticipated when we had our last physical Nerds Unite event in February of 2020. Nerds Unite 2022 is special for MainOne because this is our first Nerds Unite as an Equinix company. As most of you know already, on April 1st, 2022, MainOne was acquired by Equinix, the world's global digital infrastructure company. And we are delighted that we have Equinix joining us in this event today. Judith Gardiner, who's going to be our keynote speaker, is Vice President of Growth and Emerging Markets for Equinix. And Judith has been very instrumental in the acquisition of MainOne and will speak to us on the power of global interconnection and the wonderful things that Equinix has lied in stock for MainOne. Equinix is entering Africa for the first time through our platform with the objective of integrating all our facilities into their global Equinix Fabric network. This network is already connecting over 10,000 companies globally in over 200 facilities and over 65 cities. Just imagine the power of that now being available to all of our businesses in West Africa. Indeed, we think the possibilities are endless, and we intend to continue to drive the tech world growth that we have been championing in our region. We need this growth, especially because the past few years of pandemic-induced recession, now high inflation, supply chain challenges, the great resignation is really putting pressures on our businesses, and we need to do more to compete and to grow. Our first panel, after the keynote, will address how digital is indeed driving growth across the continent. And our second panel would look inwards at what strategies businesses are adopting to deal with these challenges and ensure that they are driving efficiency in their IT operations. I trust our engagement over the next few hours will be useful to all of you as you navigate your digital transformation journeys in 2022. Welcome once again to Nerds Unite 2022, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, FKO from Kokpeke, for that spirited speech that pretty much tells us where we're going in the world of global interconnection. And hey, the new normal with COVID-19, our lives changing, and the new offering, with MainOne being an Equinix company with our partners and so much we want to do for them. And I can't wait, to present to you the keynote today that will be led by Judith Gardiner. Judith is Vice President, Growth and Emerging Markets, Equinix, and she's got a lot to say. And this is the first Nerds Unite with MainOne being an Equinix company.
Thank you, Funke, for the great introduction. I'm Judith Gardiner, and I'm very excited about what I'm going to share with you today. So Equinix, the world's digital infrastructure. I'm speaking to you from our Amsterdam office, where we've got a really sunny, warm day, which is not that common. So borderless growth and boundless opportunity, the theme of this year's Nerds Unite, fills me with so much excitement when Equinix extends its platform into new markets, but particularly in the case of Africa. The essence of how we create this borderless platform is through extending our digital infrastructure and harnessing the power of interconnection. And what a great way for us to start our journey in Africa with none other than MainOne. So what does this mean, particularly in the context of Africa? So I'm going to share some slides. So it's no surprise that the demographic uniqueness of the African continent is driving the significant growth in internet demand and content consumption. The digitization of so many segments is being driven by the end user. Africa has the youngest population of any continent. The median age of the continent is 20 years. This is such a unique opportunity and a huge advantage for the continent. This represents considerable latent demand for mobile and online content and other such services in the digital subscription economy that we're living more and more every day. This demand can only be served through technology that can be agile, secure, and fast. So there's a basic underlying principle that the internet usage fires up a digital economy. And we've seen in other markets, particularly in the Middle East, that increased adoption of broadband increases the GDP of a country. While internet adoption has steadily increased over the years, internet usage on the African continent is still well below the global average. Experts estimate that only 47% of Africa's population is connected to the internet, less than the global average of 63%. As you move further inland into the continent, it's even less. So as a result, though the use of mobile networks for internet access is norm, which is again a very unique characteristic for Africa, Africa has the average mobile usage per capita of 87%, phenomenal. That's close to 1.2 billion subscriptions, and fixed broadband of just 8.9% of households. So while broadband access has improved, there is still a serious need to drive down the cost of internet access, which can only be achieved through increased investment in digital infrastructure that puts competitive downward pressure on the cost of bandwidth, bringing affordable internet and locally hosted content to Africa's digital economies. This can only improve the health, education, prosperity, and welfare of more than the billion people that live there. So in terms of cultivating the ecosystems that support the connectivity and locally hosted content, this is where the importance of the digital corridors comes in. East and West digital corridors support internet capacity growth. And increased capacity, like I said, should drive down the cost of internet access. Africa's intra-regional and international internet capacity growth is overwhelmingly due to the submarine cables that connect East and West Africa with Europe and the rest of the world. We were already very familiar with the MainOne cable before we were even introduced to MainOne as a potential partner. The cable lands in our data center in Lisbon. The digital corridors run exclusively over these cable routes, north to Europe and south to South Africa. And obviously, again, digital corridors play a key role in expanding internet access and increasing local content. With subsea landing systems in Equinix data centers in West Africa, Barcelona, Lisbon, Genoa, and more, Equinix is creating a global submarine cable mesh with data centers positioned at critical points to connect the northern and southern hemispheres. Vendor neutrality at Equinix offers more cost-effective choices for telco, mobile, and ISP services, including lower international connectivity costs. All of this is key to contributing to the digital infrastructure that is required to support Africa's burgeoning digital economy. I'm going to talk a bit about the importance of peering. And peering is between networks is essential for an interconnection ecosystem to be cultivated and thrive. It eliminates risky points of failure and allows access to major fiber meet-me points. Peering keeps traffic local, and this is key. It essentially provides seamless performance. Besides eliminating risky points of failure, peering is also cheaper because the networks are directly exchanging traffic rather than having a third party to do it. And it gives greater control over traffic flows. It improves overall network performance, and it increases bandwidth capacity. 90% of internet traffic is privately peered over physical cross-connects inside data centers, especially carrier-neutral facilities such as Equinix. Internet exchanges provide a platform for local content caching, reducing international tromboning of traffic along the digital corridors, and therefore much lower latency. The resulting affordability of access and improved end-user experience promotes internet use and traffic growth. Nigeria has emerged as one of Africa's digital success stories. Between 2012 and 2020, the country went from having about 30% localized traffic to about 70% localized traffic. Over that same period, the number of internet users and total volume of internet traffic also increased dramatically. The country exchanges about 1.7 terabits of internet traffic internationally, with about 3/4 of that amount exchanged in Europe. This inevitably leads to high latency, and this latency could prevent Nigerian businesses from applying the latest digital technologies, such as 5G and artificial intelligence. For this reason, further investment, as Funke said, is really required to further develop the local digital infrastructure. It's a key enabler for digital acceleration in Nigeria. By supporting the growth and maturity of digital infrastructure in Nigeria, we believe that the Equinix acquisition of MainOne will be transformational across several different sectors of the economy, including financial services, content and digital media, and many of the enterprise sectors. So what does a highly interconnected environment look like? And this is really where I get quite nerdy about interconnection. So this mesh of bubbles here is illustrating the interconnectivity of just one customer in our London metro. This one network is connecting to pretty much every vertical that is part of the digital economy. Cloud and IT services,
recording in progress.
Partners. Other NSP organizations nowadays are increasingly dependent on automation as they require a faster data delivery with greater accuracy, consistency, and reliability. And at Equinix, we're committed to supporting and learning from local partners, while also providing African businesses access to leading digital services from global ecosystems of thousands of cloud, network, and IT service providers. Our leading portfolio of interconnection services can help users connect with partners and customers around the world. Later today, we will receive a copy of our Global Interconnection Index, and the Global Interconnection Index, which we also refer to as the GXI, the industry's leading source of data and insight on interconnection and its increasing impact on the digital world. It shows what digital leaders across all industries are doing to accelerate their digital first strategies. So let me tell you a bit about Equinix and how our customers are using our platform. Equinix has been at the center of the digital transformation for over 20 years. Our role is to be the global digital infrastructure and exchange platform for digital business. This slide here shows how we evolved, and it's pretty much reflects how we evolve in any new developing market that we enter. So essentially, Equinix started with the internet. It was solving for the connectivity choke points among the networks by getting the world's leading networks to build and connect their infrastructure inside our data centers. Following that, the content providers soon followed to get better access to broadband consumers, and Equinix began to see a large content ecosystem develop. All of the 5 world's largest websites use Equinix. In the years following, Equinix saw its financial ecosystem grow as the stock market moved from manual to electronic trading, where the value of a millisecond is enormous. And today, Equinix is in more than 20 leading financial markets in terms of hosting their stock exchanges. And the world's top banks do business with our company. Next, cloud providers began to populate our ecosystem, and we saw great traction in the market. Microsoft launched its Azure cloud computing platform in 18 markets on 4 continents with us because of our global ecosystems. And today, Equinix data centers house more than 50% of all the world's public cloud on-ramps. And today we're seeing growth with enterprises because of the digital transformation. Enterprises are coming to Equinix to build interconnection-first architectures to overcome legacy IT constraints on digital transformation. This is essentially what we strive for, as I said, in every market we enter. It's our focus and commitment. As the world's digital infrastructure company, Equinix is dedicated to supporting its customers and partners by connecting their businesses and critical applications with the best-of-breed digital infrastructure that offer direct and on-demand connections. We've been a key partner for digital leaders, as I said, for over 20 years. So as we grow our infrastructure platforms and partnerships in region, startups and enterprises in Nigeria will have the same access to the power of the entire data center network of Platform Equinix in the same manner the most sophisticated multinational operating from Singapore does. And not only in Lagos, Accra, or Abidjan, fintechs have this global access, they will also continue to enjoy access to the rich ecosystem that MainOne has already built in region within its data centers through peering with global and local players to ensure that a significant percentage of its internet traffic is terminating in country and in growing. This means you will be able to locate adjacent to the public clouds and networks to create best-of-breed hybrid cloud architectures, build physical and virtual infrastructures on the industry's most consistent, secure, and sustainable platform, and deploy in proximity to customers, geographies, and locations that matter most to achieve low latency performance. As it stands today, MainOne's partnership with HPE GreenLake ensures that you do not have to strive for 6 months to import equipment, to set up new servers, to deploy that app, which you can request the infrastructure you need on demand from MDXI, knowing that it will be deployed using the highest standards and guarantee the highest availability in a sustainable manner. Funke referred to our Equinix Fabric, and this is also another area where I get terribly excited about working at Equinix and seeing such innovation. Equinix Fabric is the world's first real-time interconnection technology built especially for digital infrastructure. Thousands of enterprises from around the world are taking advantage of Equinix Fabric to drive digital acceleration. Equinix Fabric is highly adaptable to the specific needs of companies in different industry verticals. Adoption is particularly high in sectors such as banking, pharmaceuticals, retail, and we continue to see new and exciting case studies coming from various different verticals in the last couple of years, particularly, again, as Funke mentioned, propelled by the pandemic we found ourselves in. 7 of the 10 largest companies in pharmaceuticals and retail are using Equinix Fabric. The reason so many enterprises choose it is that it supports better results across many different digital infrastructure use cases. These use cases include hybrid multi-cloud connectivity, data center interconnection, and SD-WAN adoption. Equinix Fabric for hybrid multi-cloud networking allows enterprises to access on-ramps to cloud providers across our global footprint. In fact, Equinix ranks #1 worldwide for the highest share of hosted on-ramps. Equinix Fabric also allows enterprises to deploy redundant connections with ease, making it easier to ensure high availability and business continuity in an uncertain world. Pairing Equinix Fabric private interconnection capabilities together with data center co-location services in one of our global Equinix IBX data centers can help limit the hidden costs of cloud, including the data egress fees. I've got a great example from Fige Logistics. It's a global full-service logistics provider based in Germany. And they've been using Equinix Fabric virtual interconnection services to enable quick and secure access to Microsoft Azure cloud services, as well as Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Teams. And this connectivity helps the company automate its digital supply chain, reinforce resiliency, and better manage large volumes of data across disparate locations around the world. In addition to helping enterprises connect with cloud providers, Equinix Fabric also helps them interconnect within their own data centers across metro areas. And this enables them to deploy distributed digital infrastructure quickly and easily in locations across the world. Data center interconnection via Equinix Fabric is fast to set up, it's highly flexible, and it's similar to scale bandwidth up and down as your business needs change. Another great example is Mercury Engineering. Mercury are an Ireland-based engineering and construction company. They actually build many of our data centers in Europe. They used Equinix Fabric to create a secure, resilient, high-performance infrastructure that gives workers reliable access to Microsoft Azure services and other SaaS applications at construction sites worldwide. This connectivity allows the company to back up and share construction data in less time, ensuring the data is safe and available whenever it's needed. So one of the reasons Equinix Fabric is so valuable for enterprises is that it does more than just help connect them with their service providers. It also integrates their key Equinix offerings like Network Edge, virtual network functions. Enterprises can use Equinix Fabric integrated with Network Edge to deploy SD-WAN solutions and other VNFs without the complexity and wait time required for physical network hardware. So on Platform Equinix, you can bring together all the right places, partners, and possibilities to create the foundational infrastructure you need to succeed. Truly, when we contemplate the current global challenges of supply chain delays, the great resignation, and opportunities of business to continue to drive the digital transformation that is still in early phases in Africa, the entry of Equinix provides previously unavailable options for businesses to execute differently. When we contemplate the multiplier effects, not only do these businesses gain the advantage of new efficiency in their operations, but their customers and their partners derive further benefit from improved performance based on the power of the interconnected platform and a powerful global and local ecosystem. These are some of the benefits Equinix brings to the region as we continue to build out the infrastructure of MainOne and Platform Equinix across West Africa. And we trust that in years to come, we will look back on this milestone event as a game changer in the digital transformation fortunes of many of the businesses represented here today. Thank you for your attention. I wish you a really great event today and look forward to working with you. There's an incredibly exciting journey ahead for all of us, and I'm thrilled that the journey has already started with MainOne. Rafai, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Judith, for that very, very wonderful speech and keynote there. I mean, you pretty much charted a roadmap for what customers, consumers can expect on the African continent with Equinix and what Equinix will be doing going forward. And Equinix is here just to give that leap, to every business out there, every customer, every client out there. And there's so much that can be done on the African continent because, with the robust appeal of Equinix, metro areas can get better connections. Across board, we can have more interconnectivity. And across board, the GDP of every country can increase. And it's cross-sectional, pharmaceutical, lifestyle, every sector possible that needs that connectivity. Equinix serves as that backbone, that strength that every customer and client out there can rely on. And it's just amazing what is happening and how Africa is about to scale and leapfrog in potential and capacity and capability, from every part, from Lagos to Accra to Abidjan, wherever you see Equinix, supporting the goal of every business owner out there. So I'm really excited. And it's something that you can be part of, by when you get the decks we'll be giving you after the event, and some other materials from Equinix today, it's just something that can help you one step further. And if you're not even considering a relationship, what are you waiting for? It's the big sell. It's the time for you to jump on this across board, whatever your sector might be it construction, you can share that vital data, that design drawing. There's a backbone there from Equinix. Be it the medical sector, be it entertainment, be it lifestyle, be it tech, be it e-commerce, be it everything. And you have boundless opportunities. And that's why the theme for the event, this Nerds Unite, is the power of global interconnection. How we can connect with one another. And Equinix brings that global appeal, that stability, that strength of connection. And all you just need to do as a small business out there, as a big business out there, as a multinational out there, is to get on board the Equinix platform, and it's unparalleled what we can do together with connection. And that's what Judith had just said invariably. She's saying we're calling on everybody, we're calling on the great possibility, we're going on the great partnership, and that's why we're talking about borderless growth, borderless opportunity. The future can be reimagined. The possibilities are holistic and it's wholesome what it can do for the African continent and for the African market. And that capacity can only be reimagined. Because when you look at the trajectory, before now, the case was different. Before now, the insight was different. Before now, the capacity was different. Businesses needed to scale, they needed to move, they needed to do things at a transformational pace, but there was no backing for it. There was nothing they could rest on. There was nothing as solid as Equinix is giving now that they could rely on. But with this, then capacity is unparalleled, then it's boundless what we can all achieve. And that's what Equinix is bringing to the table. That boundless capacity, that boundless insight, that boundless drive, and that boundless push. And that's it. So we've got two panel sessions today. And what we'll be doing is in this two panel session, we'll be dealing with a lot. We'll be talking about those possibilities. So I'll tell you a little bit about those possibilities. So the first panel session, that'll be moderated by Martin. Martin Atkinson is Equinix Senior Manager, Peering and Interconnection, EMEA. We'll be talking about how to unlock growth through an interconnected global digital infrastructure. On the session, we'll have people like Kendall Anayi, the founder CEO of Tiziti Networks. We'll also have JP Atueyi, Chief Information Officer, Eco Electricity Distribution Company. We'll have Nihil Kandwal, Group Head of IT, Lagos Free Trade Zone. We have Ben Ryan, Edge Strategy Manager, Sub-Saharan Africa. That's for Meta, a Facebook company. So we have these people talking to us about how to unlock growth through an interconnected global digital infrastructure. And when you look at them, they're across every sector. They're across every sector possible. When you look at the possibility, they're in networking, they're in businesses, free trade zone, they're in electricity hub infrastructure, they're in networks. So these are people across board that are increasingly helping to scale with a lot of possibility and outlook on the business. So that's why this session promises to be great, interactive, and please don't forget, throw your questions once this session starts into the chat box so we can take your vital questions and put them out there. All right. So I understand Martins Atkinson is ready, Equinix Sales Senior Manager, Pairing and Interconnection, EMEA. Martin, pleasure to have you on this
Thank you.
panel session and happy deliberations. But I'll be here to read out the questions to you and take the insights from your great panelists. Thank you, Martin.
So I don't know quite where that's coming from, but that sounds better now. Hopefully you're hearing me okay. I'm afraid we don't yet have Kendall, but I'm hoping he may be able to join us shortly. I'd like to start by just giving you a quick summary bio on each of the panelist members that we have here. We should have 4. Hopefully Kendall will join us. Ken is there, I can see. So hopefully he'll be joining us in a moment. I can see he's backstage at the moment, so hopefully we can get him to join in a minute. So Kendall, when he joins us, still got the echo, is a founder of Tizeti Networks, which operates as Wi-Fi.com Nigeria. He has a master's in electrical and computer engineering from the University of Victoria, Canada, and a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering from the University of Benin, and over 17 years experience in telecommunications and information technology. Kendall's worked with 2 AAA companies, ExxonMobil and Microsoft, and as well as a big 4 firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers. That's quite a diversity of organizations there. Wi-Fi.com Nigeria is an internet service provider operating in Africa that leverages wireless large bandwidth, and the plummeting cost of solar panels allows them to create a low capex, opex network and owned and operated towers, so they're able to offer disruptive, consumer-friendly pricing for unlimited internet access. So that's Kendall, and I'm pleased to see you're able to join us now, Kendall. Hi. JP Atue is also on the call. He's the Chief Information Officer for Eco Electrical Distribution Company. JP is an experienced digital transformation, business continuity and IT manager. Driven by the need to bring transparency and accountability to our society, JP takes pride in providing the best technological solution possible. As a CIO, his goals include overseeing strategy development and technology roadmap for enterprise architecture, business applications and solutions development, digital transformation, advanced analytics, infrastructure and technology operations, information security, and also innovation orchestration. In addition to his primary CIO job function, JP Atue has recently been recognized by Eco Electricity Distribution with 10 different awards, and the company itself was also recognized by the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management for improved HR process through implementation of HR information systems. Our third panelist is Nikhil Khandelwal. He's Group Head of IT Lagos Free Zone. Mr. Khandelwal heads as CTO for Lagos Free Zone, which is the Tolaram Group, and he leads the technology piece for the 850-hectare free zone. He has a strong vision to build Lagos Free Zone into an advanced industrial hub and smart city, driving the technology blueprint and innovations roadmap for the zone. Prior to Tolaram, he served as IT director for Hinduja Global Solutions, handling IT strategy, business operations, solution delivery across USA, APAC, and Middle East. Nikhil has also led various digital transformation portfolios and programs for top brands across the globe, set up multi-geography offshore delivery centers for companies such as Pearson VUE, Accenture, Tata Consultancy Services. Vast experience of technology products, automation and IT infrastructure projects, and SaaS projects, AI and mobile applications. He served as global PMO for IT divisions at various pharma organizations, including Roche and Sanofi Aventis. Nikhil is a hands-on computer engineering graduate trained on PMP, Prince2 and ITIL, a certified Scrum Master and Agile certified practitioner. Nikhil also led the creative technology and digital initiatives at Hungama Digital WPP company, and has been instrumental in the advancement of various brands and innovative solutions for other global brands, L'Oreal, PepsiCo, Pedigree, Mondelez, Tata Steel, Times Group, and Mahindra. So there's a lot of credentials there. Thank you, Nikhil. Finally, we have Ben Ryle, Edge Strategy Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa for Meta. Facebook may be known to some of you. Ben has been at Meta for just over 4.5 years and is responsible for Edge Strategy in Sub-Saharan Africa. This includes, with the team, partnering with ISPs and focusing on peering and caching in the region to ensure that the people using Meta products, that's the end users, get the best possible experience. Before Meta, Ben was Technology Director Data at 6 Degrees, which was is a the first round of questions. We start with Ben because obviously Ben, Meta has been very instrumental in its inclusion on the Two Africa project. So Meta and its involvement planning to land to Africa in Nigeria and the east and west coast of Africa. How critical to interconnection? How critical is interconnection to achieving the objectives of the cable? Particularly, what is your assessment of the state of interconnection in Africa, and how is it likely to change?
Thanks, Martin. So the cable, it's clearly super important. It's a big investment for us and the consortium who are involved. And, there's a number of partners who are involved in this cable being built, and therefore, being a number of different people that have access to it. It's not just a Meta cable, it's like, say, an open access consortium-driven cable. For interconnection, the cable is going to allow us to build on our existing investments in the region and in the countries. And when I talk about investments here, I'm thinking about kind of our edge infrastructure, like we have in Lagos in Nigeria and elsewhere, where we've installed edge compute, allows us to, interconnect locally with operators and partners in those countries. And it's going to enable us to do more of that. Good example is Port Harcourt in Nigeria. We've got a second landing, and we're actually going to develop a second peering ecosystem for us, but for the community and for the internet as well within Nigeria. And what this will give us, will help us build in-country diversity. So if we have an issue with our Lagos infrastructure, we all know things that go wrong, things fail, then, clearly we'll be able to, rely on the infrastructure we build in Port Harcourt. And, we'll be able to do similar in other markets as well. And the cable is going to be one of the things that enables us to do that. Kinshasa in the DRC would be another prime example. Assessment of interconnection, it's a big question. It's a wide, diverse, huge region. Some markets are clearly more developed than others. South Africa is probably going to be, we could talk about being one of the prime most interconnected developed markets, South Africa. Others, Nigeria, Kenya, are definitely on the same journey and following that same path. And we're supporting this. One of the ways we support this is ISP development. So things that are good for the communities and things that are good for the ecosystem, as well as being able to, deliver the objectives we kind of talk about, quality of experience and bringing our infrastructure as close to people as possible.
Yeah, so obviously diversity and redundancy is an important part here too, to make sure that there's an always-on experience as much as possible. So,
yeah, 100%. And it's also the idea that, maybe having availability in a market and actually be able to do something for the first time as well in a more scalable and, an effective way. So yeah, absolutely.
Sure, cool. So Kendall, how do you see the interconnected digital infrastructure helping in the sense of it democratizing access to affordable internet for the African population? And I think this is a key thing, right? Affordable internet.
For an internet provider, transit cost, IP transit cost from your upstream provider used to be a huge part of your cost of sales. And obviously, if they're going to drive the cost down while still maintaining profitability, you would look to a provider like MainOne, who you can interconnect with and reduce your transit costs via either internet exchange points or via having a cache of various content providers. And so a few years ago, we moved our data center. We used to manage our data center ourselves. We moved it to MainOne. And we saw a huge drop in our cost of transit, which we then passed on all those cost savings to our customers. And right now, actually this month, we've now gotten to a point where transit is now less than 49% of our entire upstream cost, which is significant, which means all the rest of the 51 we're actually exchanging traffic with folks like Facebook, Cloudflare, Google, and you can get all of this at MDXI. And so all of this savings really comes back to the customer in the form of reduction in the cost of their internet bill.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really good to hear you say that, because one of the things that I've been evangelizing for a long time is that carrier neutral facilities that Equinix runs around the globe produce competitive transit pricing, which causes the basic cost of infrastructure to drop. And as it drops, it filters through down the line to the end users. So it's a key part of this is actually, open interconnection and competition. So that's really good. Plus a huge amount of capacity that the new systems will bring in. So Nikhil, Lagos Free Zone, sir, your organization is building, as I understand it, the largest privately owned economic free trade zone in West Africa, and at the Lagos Free Zone. So what initiatives has your organization put in place to support the growth of the digital ecosystem within the zone that can compete with any other digitalized business hub, say, across the world?
Thanks, Martin. So very good morning and good day to all of you. Looking forward to a great interaction. So, all right. So at Lagos Free Zone, we are already thinking about the future. We are quite different from any other operating zones. So just to give everyone a flavor of it, we have gone paperless with more than 90% of our processes are now digital. We have launched Lagos Free Zone mobile app, a well-integrated app with day-to-day updates, events, and happenings around the zone. We have implemented smart city solutions like AI cameras, and we are also focusing on facial recognition entrances, AR-based navigation in the zone areas, and having a virtual reality tour of the zone from any part of the world. So there's a new concept of digital twin, which we are already discussing. It's a metaverse version of the zone, which with controls in real time. So we are also setting up various telecom towers in the zone and our readiness to be 5G enabled. So you see, Martin, at Lagos Free Zone, we are way ahead than any other business hubs in the world. Our major focus is being the most advanced and sustainable free zone in the world.
Thank you. That's really very inspiring, I have to say, and it's good that you have that vision. So thank you. Ben, we were talking obviously before we actually kind of went live in backstage about the timing of to Africa and its crucial part in all of this in driving capacity, reducing costs, and obviously allowing as a vector for Meta to deliver its services. So as you continue to scale development of affordable internet access to your services, particularly to remote locations, well, not just remote locations, Lagos is obviously a big city, but going to remote locations as well, and Africa at large. Are there any other plans beyond that? Well, what I'm thinking of maybe particularly here, Meta, everyone knows Facebook. Meta and the metaverse is coming next. Do you see a part for enterprises to play a part in that, connecting in somehow to consume metaverse services? I'd be very interested to hear what your plans are for services and user experience.
Sure. I think there's a couple of good questions in there. The metaverse is, it's a phrase that definitely a lot of people are using now, and actually what this develops is going to be super exciting. There's some way more clever product people in my organisation and other partner organisations who are working on all the great service we provide. I think there's a big opportunity for all types of organisations to leverage the infrastructure that gets built, from enterprises through to, creating kind of immersive music events is another example. So I think there's great opportunity there. Bringing this to, more remote regions, to landlocked countries, to Africa and other continents in the world where connectivity is challenged. That's something, we're continually working on. Right now, we have our Facebook network appliance, our in-network caching and appliance program, where if maybe we can't or don't have infrastructure yet, of a POP with full peering in a country, we can deploy that to offload a subset of the traffic. And, I'm sure that will continue to evolve to support kind of new products as they get released in the future. And then we're continually looking as we kind of evolve our edge strategy, where to build next. And when we apply that to sub-Saharan Africa, the region I look after, we're definitely considering those landlocked countries as much as we are the ones where we're landing cables and have a sea border. So it's going to continue to evolve, and in the next few years, as to Africa and other cables go into production, it's going to be super exciting to build on top of that.
Yeah, thank you. It's very, very exciting, I have to say. Thank you. Kendall, question for you now. In terms of Tizetti, how has Interconnection enabled your business to expand into other markets and cross-national borders and boundaries across West Africa? So beyond Nigeria into other locations, countries.
Sure. With the MainOne Equinix platform, we've been able to take what we initially started off in Lagos, which we'll call a tier 2, a large African city. And we've been able to go with MainOne and sequence across multiple other cities, which are tier 2 cities like Ogun State in Nigeria and Edo State. And we've also been able to go across West Africa to Accra in Ghana, and the same kind of service that we have in Nigeria, we're able to replicate that in Ghana just by being on the MainOne platform. And we intend to even continue sequencing across West Africa with that. And that has also helped us because if you look at those other cities, beyond the top tier cities, most internet providers in the past could only deliver service profitably in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. But what we've been able to do with the MainOne platform is we've been able to take that service and then take that to smaller tier 2 and even tier 3 cities. And you can even see the use case of what people are using the service for. For example, we had a project in providing connectivity to schools in Edo State, and they're able to push e-learning initiatives along with a partnership with Meta. We're seeing people subscribe to telemedicine services via any of the health startups. Digital literacy programs are going on in these tier 2 cities, and even seeing it help gender equality with women. Financial inclusion is also growing in those tier 2 cities. People used to only access financial services via USSD. We are seeing people embrace some of the apps that the fintech startups are creating. And then obviously there's increased security in those other cities by using the MainOne platform, because then you're seeing things like incident notification over WhatsApp and all of that, and accessing content. And so the kind of service that you typically have in a bigger city, you're now having it in smaller cities, and it's opening up a world of opportunities for people living in those locations.
Fantastic. That's a really, really important point. Affordable access. Again, it's really good. Thank you. So, JP, a question for you concerning Eco Electricity Distribution Company. I understand there have been some issues around loss of electricity generated from the national grid that doesn't get relayed or reach distribution networks, such as your company. What role can an interconnected digital infrastructure play in reducing the loss of critical energy supplies?
Well, the EcoDisco, we're a distribution company, and we are typically the face of the power industry. And we are the people the customers see, and a lot of customers also do not understand the full infrastructure of the power industries. So, we have the generations, we have the transmission, and then we have the distribution, which EcoDisco is a part of. We sell the electricity we buy. We don't actually generate electricity. But we are the people that talk to the customers. We are the one that bring the internet, the electricity to you. And so what we need to do as a disco, because we don't necessarily have control over how much energy we can provide you, but we can improve on communication with our customers. We recently had a new MD, Dr. Tina Adesonda, and she has been very big on customer-centric values and pursuing the way of trying to make our customers very happy and satisfied. So even if you can't give them service as required due to circumstances beyond your control, at the minimum, we must be able to communicate with them. So we've tried to leverage several different channels, whether it is our social media platforms where they can talk to us. We are currently building a self-service system where our customers can actually log into the system and be able to help themselves with most of the problems that they may have, while we work with our our partners in the whole ecosystem to get us back to where we need to be. As a country, we have 4,000 megawatts today. We need about maybe 50,000 to get Nigeria to 24/7 supply. But again, we can't make excuses. We have to make the best of the situation.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. And you said about people logging in to say a portal. Do you envision an app? Maybe. I mean, mobile is very, very important for user access. So in terms of B2C communications, I kind of feel that mobile applications that run on smartphones, when smartphones are affordable for all, has got to be a good way forward, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. We're actually revisiting our technological strategies. And we very soon we're going to have our apps on the iOS and the Android devices. It's actually the best way to go, because today a lot of people, especially in Nigeria, are online via their mobile devices. So that's the easiest way to connect to them and have them work with you. So that's something that we're actually working on diligently.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. And again, something I've been evangelizing for Africa is most people are mobile. So let's have affordable internet access for all and affordable devices to access the internet on. And then, anything's possible. So that's fantastic. Thank you. Another question for you, Ben. In terms of, again, Meta and your plans to work with local ecosystem of telcos, obviously mobile operators are key here as eyeball networks, and broadband being not such a big feature overall. And data center operators, obviously, such as MainOne and Equinix, and other stakeholders to deliver content in Africa. Are there any particular focus you have on the way that you will interact with them?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think there's a few good things we can call out here. We're committed to building, our infrastructure where it makes sense, as close as possible to the people using our products. We know that delivers a reliable, feature-rich experience. But at the same time, we want to enable communities and the different countries to own their future of what the internet ecosystem looks like. So we'll partner with people in country to support and enable that. Some examples, we take Lagos, we clearly partnered with, MainOne, and who are now obviously part of Equinix, and we've partnered with others in the market to, build out infrastructure that makes sense, but that's in a collaborative way, both on the Meta side with different teams and different experts and SMEs looking at how we best do that, but also talking to people in market, understanding what they want, where their networks operate, and how we can best interconnect with them and find what appearing is a mutual thing, and finding how to do that mutual interconnection. That, and we're doing that across, all of sub-Saharan Africa and, globally, but, just talking about the region, I've got responsibility for. Similarly, we're also keen to support the communities develop and the skills develop. And I know there's a lot of, take Nigeria again, I know there's a lot of good work that goes on. And we try to complement that and support that, by turning up and sponsoring and supporting the different network operator groups that go on. And in the case of Nigeria, that's NGNOG that, pre-pandemic, we'd go to as a team and attend in person, and we could continue to attend in that virtually. And running sessions as well to try and train the community and support the community and, how to best work with us and, and the nuances for working with our systems. So, it's about, supporting that piece as well. And the same goes for our extra development, we as well as maybe connecting, direct interconnection, we'll also look at connecting to IXs. We generally look to at least a minimum of 2 in each market for that reliability focus and helping those development. And then, on the data center piece, working with data center operators, we look at each market, we make sure how the data centers operate, working with operators in country, and then with people who are expert in understanding the space and power requirements and data center construction, working with the operators, working with the network operators, and finding the best solution that fits that market. We're going to continue to do that as well. It's going to be exciting to see that happen more in Lagos with the investments coming, and elsewhere in Nigeria and elsewhere in the continent.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. And it's great. I know the way you guys work, because obviously Facebook and now Meta has been a long-standing customer and partner of Equinix globally. So it's great to have you moving into the area and working the magic again in region. For anyone that doesn't know, by the way, peering is the share of internet traffic, putting it in very, very basic terms, just in case anyone didn't know what peering is. And it's an important part of delivering content towards end users. Kendall, in terms of data centers, Ben was just talking about, relationship with data center operators and, specifications and stuff. So what role has your co-locating in a data center, not just MainOne, but I think you have plenty of experience with MainOne, played in enabling a faster and more enhanced interconnection experience for your customers? Do you see that as a positive? We've lost your sound again.
So if you think about how you connect to the internet traditionally, if you run your own data center, right, you would have to connect to upstream providers, right? But by being in the MainOne Equinix data center, right, you're able to then interconnect with as many different upstream providers as you can. You also have access to different internet exchange points, and you also have the ability to have content in your cache, like I said before. And so by being on the MainOne platform, we've been able to cut the latency to our customers by having the connection go directly to those content providers versus going across the cable all the way to Europe and back. And same thing as we've also been able to, when our operations, as we moved across different countries, in Ghana, we're also able, our customers are able to, we're able to centralize our support in Nigeria and then access content over there. Our customers' experience has now improved because of, if you think of latency, ping times, because you're accessing the content within the data center versus adding another at least 100 milliseconds to go over a submarine cable all the way to Europe, or if the content is all the way in the US. But what that has also helped with over time is also the content providers have also moved locally because you have a data center locally. So they've moved their content locally, and that, like I explained earlier, has helped reduce the cost of accessing internet in the region. But customers are streaming content from Netflix or videos on the internet now in Africa. There's no way you can escape either accessing content from Instagram or WhatsApp or from Meta too. And so you would see overall customer experience on the internet has improved greatly without even doing much, by just moving stuff from running your own data center into a data center where you need to connect with all of these providers and content.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a really important point, Kendall. It's back to that. The two real central themes here are affordability of access, i.e. cost, and performance. And there are some basic things that we can do to improve performance and cost. And it creates an enhanced experience for the end users. So it's good to hear you affirm that. Nikhil, Lagos Free Zone. MainOne recently extended its service into the Lagos Free Zone as part of the plan to transform the zone and support your own aspirations in transforming it into a digitally interconnected ecosystem. So how do you see that MainOne deployment as adding value to the business community at the Free Trade Zone?
Thanks, Martin. So with MainOne coming to the zone now, we are having fiber optics internet connectivity throughout the 850 hectares of Lagos Free Zone. We have a phase-wise rollout plan. A lot of key areas are now wireless. So you can just walk inside the zone with your mobile and you have Wi-Fi everywhere, like at airport or in a high-tech building, and you're digitally connected. So MainOne also has a very robust data center. So this will be very useful to us while we implement big data and analytics as a part of our roadmap and vision. So Martin, there's a saying like individually we are one drop, but together we are an ocean. So just like that, MainOne is a key collaborator at Lagos Free Zone's vision of being the most advanced and smartest business hubs in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. It is all about partnerships, as you rightly say. So thank you. JP, this is actually the final question in our panel before we do some quick roundups. So this is for JP. It's a long kind of statement here I've got before me, but I'll read it out and then there's a question at the end of it. Enterprises require an increasingly automated control management system for their cloud infrastructure, for their networks and for their data centers to counter business resiliency threats, minimize infrastructure cost, and reduce operational complexity. So in your own expertise, how would you advise enterprises having challenges around those various things, considering some of the experiences you have with your infrastructure deployment with EKDC? So do you have some words of wisdom that you could share with enterprises generally?
Yes. So, some businesses are regulated and some aren't. For some people, they are not able to take the same business decisions that others have if you are regulated. But cloud infrastructure is something that is here to stay. And if your business allows you, so like my business, for some reasons that I can't specifically state on this call, there are certain applications I cannot put in the cloud. And those applications therefore have to stay in-house. So I run a hybrid system where I have some systems in the cloud and some systems that stay locally in my data center. And but what you find is that especially if you have cash flow problems, it's easier for you to go to a cloud services where you can change this CapEx into an OpEx, and you can then pay easily monthly or annually, depending on the kind of contract you have with the contractor you would have signed up with. But for us, one of the things that the cloud services did for us, and because if you remember the COVID when it hit, nobody saw that coming. Nobody anticipated it. And COVID came in, but luckily for us, we were already very much in the cloud. Like I said, we run a hybrid solution. And so business continued as if nothing happened. Staff just moved home, took their laptops with them, made internet available to them, and business continued. So that was a very, very important step for us. But like I said, depending on restrictions that you may have, some people are not able to go to the cloud. But if you have the flexibility, I always say that cloud option is always a great way to go.
Yeah, thank you, JP. And that's actually something I'd like to validate in terms of international statistics about countries and national GDPs that fared best during COVID. The worst of the COVID pandemic were those that were digitally interconnected societies, where people could seamlessly migrate to work from home and access cloud infrastructure anywhere. They did much better. So that's not that we are planning another pandemic in the near future, but whatever comes, it's that resiliency is very important, I think. Thank you for stressing. So that kind of brings us to the end of the question and answer section of the panel. What I'd like to do, please, in turn, is give each of you just a minute, please, if you wouldn't mind, just to make any comments that you want to about what we've discussed today. I'll start with Nikhil. Nikhil, if you could just give us a 1-minute summary of what your takeaway is.
Right. So I think, Martin, so, COVID has been a reminder that future is digital and future is now. So you should always focus on having a vast and diverse plan of making the entire infrastructure digital, multi-user enable and hybrid work environment. All your processes need to be on cloud. Majorly, only critical ones can be on the on-site servers. And preferably, we can focus on the IoT implementation, because that's the future. That's where we are heading. And majorly, like JP said, that the entire hybrid kind of work environment is very important because that is the way of operating now and in future.
Thank you. Ben, any final comments?
Yeah, no, thanks so much. It's been a great panel, great discussion, great comments by all the panelists. For me, super exciting still to work on the region. I always feel kind of privileged and honoured that, get to work on such diverse markets. And, for what we're doing, be able to continue bringing our content closer to the edge, and the edge, it's clearer and nearer the people using our products. Super excited to be continuing that journey, and it's going to be a really exciting few years with cables landing and the developments we can build off that. So yeah, really, really interesting, exciting.
Thanks, Ben. Kendall, what sort of takeaways do you have for us?
Sure. If you're an internet provider on the call and you're considering MainOne Equinix, all I can say is it's been very great for my business. It has accelerated my business a lot, and it's very simple, and MainOne is very hands-on and responsive. and you will get some of the benefits I already told you about: reduced cost of sales on IP transit and reduced latency for your customers. So your customers will have high-speed internet by just switching them to MainOne. And thanks to the other speakers, learned a lot from each and every one of you.
Thank you. And I would say, actually, what you've just said there is absolutely on the money, because this is about the millions of people, over 1 billion people in Africa, but in Nigeria, hundreds of millions of people that benefit from access to internet services. And the role of ISPs in this is absolutely critical. Getting people connected and able to consume the services such as Metaverse is critically important. So yeah, thank you for those words. We should never forget that. JP, please.
Yes, I mean, this is maybe a little different from what we've all spoken about today, but there's something that really excites me that I'm looking forward to see how it will help my industry. These recent licenses given to the telcos to get into the gateway payment process. I'm looking forward to seeing how that shakes up my business, my customers, because competition always favors the customers and gives them better options. I just want to see what strategy they come up with, and I'm hoping to see. I'm waiting to see what they come up with.
I wish we had more time to unpack that. Telco strategies is something I spend a lot of time looking at. And well, hopefully I'll meet you at some point and we can actually discuss that, because there are very big disparity across the globe.
All right. I mean, really very exciting conversations, I must say, Martins and the other panelists. I mean, very in-depth conversation about the immense possibility for the customer, the consumer, and various need for partnership across board. But thank you guys so much. But we've got some questions here I'd like you to react to. I think this is quite general, a question. Somebody's asking here that how competitive do you foresee African organizations will be in the next 5 years if they fully embrace the adoption of digital infrastructure that interconnects the region? Could this be an interconnected digital infrastructure? Could it play a role in leapfrogging Africa? Because there's that conversation about Africa not having that due springboard. So with all this digital transformation we're having, could it leapfrog Africa? And probably maybe in the next couple of years, we start to see immense competition with continents like Europe and the likes. Anybody want to take a stab at this?
I've got a view and perspective on that, but I'm supposed to be the moderator, so I'll defer to others.
All right, who wants to go first? Yeah?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, definitely. With all of the interconnection and everything we've said today, what we're going to see is businesses now. We're seeing a lot of hybrid work in the world in Nigeria today that allows the employee to do a lot more working from home than we used to, that everyone thought about. And you'll see that with interconnection, we can collaborate a lot more. People can work longer hours because you're working across multiple time zones and can work from everywhere. So that even gives Africa's workforce, we already said is the youngest in the world, the ability to work from everywhere and then increase the internet GDP. And then same thing, less downtime, less prone to downtime. So by embracing data center and interconnection, you'd see that there's more. There's less, we can do a lot more and we can be more efficient. And then we'll be also less reliant on some of the cloud infrastructure. Right now, I know a lot of startups are reliant on AWS and all of that. What would typically happen, if you look at one of the questions that a participant has asked, Toba from Ugohost, you'll see that a lot more content will reside locally and we'll also generate more content because we have one of the biggest startup ecosystems in Africa. And so all of their content too will start getting local and move closer to the edge and less reliant on the major cloud providers. And then deployments will be simplified. So overall, you would see that Africa can achieve a lot more between how the startup environment has been enabled by all of this interconnection that is happening here. And in a few years, we'll be really dominant across the world. I foresee a Nigerian big tech CEO right after. I know now we have a lot of Indians, but Nigerians will be the next one. That's my prediction.
I mean, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Very, very well made point. I'd like to thank all of you, especially for your time.
Oh, you're on mute. I'd just like to say that technology leapfrog is entirely possible for Africa with 4G, 5G transition happening now. There's a lot of legacy infrastructure in the West, which actually holds us back. So there is absolutely a possibility for Africa to do a technology leapfrog.
All right. Thank you so much, for that belief, Martin. Thank you all so much for your time and, for your great conversations right here on MainOne and Equinix Companies Nerds Unite. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys so very much once again, Martin. And please do not forget, we've got
My
good
pleasure.
gift bags for all of you that have registered, and you'll get that at the end of the event.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second panel of Nerds Unite 2022. Already this morning, we've heard from our keynote speaker, Judith Gardiner of Equinix, on the power of global interconnection. And the first panel shared with us their knowledge and experience in growing and driving digital transformation across the continent, be it new submarine cables coming in, reducing latency in delivering broadband services, or incorporating technology into the deployment of new infrastructure as the Lagos Free Zone and EcoDisco are doing, having impact in our lives and our communities. This second panel is now going to take an inward look and start addressing how do you actually do that as practitioners in the industry? How do you make this kind of change happen? I have with me this afternoon a very distinguished panelist, and I am looking forward to having a very engaging discussion with them on how all of us as practitioners can indeed make this happen. Please join me in welcoming the other members to the panel this morning. I'm going to start with Mr. Wale Shonekon of Access Bank. And Wale, thank you for being with us. Access Bank has been making a lot of waves recently, and you declared end-of-year results showing 51% revenue growth in what was a difficult year across most of the continent and definitely the sub-region. Can you share some examples of how the bank has been able to do this and also achieve operational efficiency in IT and network operations in this pandemic environment where we have, higher capex costs, shortage of skilled staff, exchange rate fluctuations? How is Access Bank pulling this off?
Morning, Funke. Thank you for the Access Bank, let me address it from the way you've asked the question. Here at Access Bank, we have a structured IT and operations, and we're poised towards delivering, maximum efficiency. That's the drive. And, it starts off with looking at the addressing topic. We have to give credit to the staff that we have who are managing multiple, responsibilities with the shortages, but also addressing the growth. Now, here at Access Bank, we try to drive things in a sort of agile manner where we run daily, weekly, and monthly health checks. And we address, the resolutions through those health checks. One of the examples I can use to give is our branch network. We have 550 branches, and we try to run them intelligently, understanding what the customers want, using technology to drive efficiency, ensuring we have, adequate network, optimal services to address those services. So, and it also speaks to our core value here at Access Bank. We've got 6 core values, leadership, excellence, empowered employees, and passion for customers. I think the focus is also driving that towards that, the passion for customers, the professionalism and innovation. And that is how we've, sort of addressed that using a tech aid balance in driving, these sort of agendas. And that is what has helped us in, these times of change.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to go over to you, Eunice, and just kind of continuing to leverage our financial sector expertise. NIBS is certainly at the center of digital payments in Nigeria. And in February, the CBN reported that digital payment transactions amounted to 1.8 trillion naira. How has NIBS kept up with scaling up to meet this rapid growth that we've seen in recent years in digital payments? Have you outsourced any services? Is it paying off?
Okay, thank you so much, Funke, for that question. Yes, we have outsourced a lot of services, starting from our business continuity with MainOne. So MainOne is one of our service providers, but a major stakeholder as it actually provides business continuity for us. We've also outsourced our application development so that time to market is shorter and faster. We also did some sort of outsource with quality assurance and security testing as well. And we're working on cloud computing right now. So those are part of the outsource that we've been able to do. And what role does it play in the digital, in driving massive adoption of digital payment across Africa? Outsourcing actually, provides shorter time to market for new entrants because you don't have to think about investing in infrastructure or deployment and all of that. And it also provides room for multiple application deliveries with shorter timelines. So you can have different applications being developed at the same time in parallel, outsourced to different vendors. And it eradicates also the need for data centers for new entrants. So I don't have to think about setting up my own data center. I can go leverage on the cloud services provided by outsourced vendors as well, which MainOne we know also provides. And there will be no need for you to set up new infrastructure. So that's how they outsource, how that's the role that the outsourcing has played in driving payments across Africa. Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. I mean, fantastic answer just in terms of how you relied on other service providers, MainOne being one of them, to accelerate time to market. Because when we look at the dizzying numbers in terms of payment transaction growth, one has to wonder how you do that during this pandemic time. So thanks for sharing some of your trade secrets or strategies to continue to scale up and remain competitive, which takes us to actually the plumbing behind that, or the infrastructure. And HPE, Ife, this question is directed at you, is promoting GreenLake, a new IT outsourcing business model that allows organizations to do exactly what Eunice just described to us. And it allows them to access this infrastructure on a subscription basis with operational support at the back end. Can you tell us more about HPE GreenLake and this model, business model, and how it can help our businesses address the issues they're facing in terms of rapid deployment of technology?
Yes, thank you so much for the question. In this time and in this age, digital transformation is redefining customer experience, business models, and operations, right, in every industry. And businesses are seeking the agility and economics of the public cloud. Saddled with the security, performance, and on-premise IT. And it's preferable in this time that a hybrid cloud approach is proved or the better option for business-critical workload management. So HP has creatively crafted a solution that can actually help and make digital transformation very easy. And that is the HP GreenLake. Now, HP GreenLake is an infrastructure utility service-based model that helps you install on-premise or in a co-location environment like MainOne's environment, and and it gives you a billable and usable option. So the infrastructure you are estimating for 5 years, 3 to 5 years, you can actually have it, from the CapEx model, you estimate for 3 to 5 years, and you are expected to invest in that huge capital at that time per time. However, with the HPE GreenLake, you could actually have capacity-based model where you actually estimate for that same capacity with even a buffer to allow you grow, okay? But and the infrastructure can be on-premise and in a co-location environment, and you pay per use. So you are billed monthly, quarterly, per time, the way you want it, how you want it. So what HPE has done is to actually shift the journey to the cloud by bringing the cloud to you, okay? So it's easier, it's smoother, and it's better. So how does it help address the CapEx and the OpEx model? If today you actually have TCOs problems and return on investment, this model gives you zero TCO and immediate return on investment because you don't have to lay out capital. So you have free up cash flow to actually dedicate to business and focus on the business model and the performance, scalability, accessibility, availability that you need for your business.
Oh, thank you. So businesses actually have the opportunity to digitize without incurring all the CapEx obligations up front, which undoubtedly can only accelerate what they are trying to do. However, buyer beware, and as we make all these changes, I'd like to invite Wale Oyeniran of Deloitte into the conversation. Deloitte Advisory cautions organizations outsourcing in Africa that they need to consider risk, legal, regulatory compliance issues. From your experience as a technology industry leader, how does this translate into best practices when organizations are choosing to outsource their IT operations? What are some of the key considerations that you would advise your clients as they try to make these changes?
I think in terms of what we've seen with regards to IT operations outsourcing and being able to adapt IT environments to being operated by third parties, one of the first things to consider is the cybersecurity practices of the outsourced partner. It's critical that you're able to get independent assessment and accreditation of the capabilities of these providers. And if, for example, you're talking about data centers, for example, I mean, we have tier 3 level certification that is the basis before you even start with regard to hosting your solutions on data centers. So getting that accreditation is extremely important for any IT operations outsourcing business. Then the next thing is to be able to get a perspective on their existing clients and satisfaction with their service delivery. There needs to be opportunity to be able to access who is currently working with this provider and what has the real life SLA, compliance, all the things that are needed to drive the operations. How has that been going? So once that's done, then the engagement with the provider then has to be customized and tailored to your specific needs. Everyone doesn't need everything. So you need to be able to prioritize. What that does is that you only outsource what you need to, and you reduce your exposure on security exposure footprints by making sure that you don't expose anything unnecessarily to a third party. So those are key considerations that you need to bear in mind when looking at outsource providers.
Okay, so thank you very much. Track record. We certainly hope MainOne is checking that box for everyone on this panel. Accreditation and cybersecurity, and actually having independent cybersecurity verification testing, which is a fact of life today, given the risks when we've moved all of our businesses online, and clearly an area in which MainOne continues to assist our clients. Wally, I want to come back to you and just ask a question, because we've heard about so much transformation, we've heard about outsourcing, and Access Bank, as we know, is a large financial institution. And we have all these fintechs that are emerging in our ecosystem. So the question is, based on your, and the fintechs clearly are adopting all these flexible models, they don't have the legacy infrastructure. So for large financial organizations such as yourself, how would you advise that you manage that? And then what kind of outsourcing strategies start fitting into what you do to make you more agile and compete more effectively with this fintechs going into the future?
Thank you so much. So we always start from a sense of things now are collaborative. So we have a collaborative mindset. But to speak to where Access Bank and how we play in this field is that we're continuously evaluating vendors around software infrastructure, even outsourcing. There is a brain drain going on, and we have to fill that gap. So outsourcing is key. What we are guided by being a bank is regulations. So we know what we need to outsource, what we can outsource. Today at Access Bank, we have colocation services across our banks and subsidiaries. We have certain skill sets and best of breeds that are outsourced to contractors. And we have, entities that work with the fintechs. So we've got a unit here called AFF, the Fintech Foundry at Access Bank. And what they do is they nurture these fintechs that come up that probably need funding, need a structure, and need the maturity that Access Bank does have. And that's what we have. Another thing that we use to address that is that we're growing, and we're growing at a very, very alarming rate. We are a Pan-African bank. We're acquiring a lot of banks. So in doing that, there are various structures in which we use to address that. And we do it on a case-by-case basis. And the reason why I say that is because there are two things that cause that decision: criticality and growth. So in terms of the way we're growing, certain institutions, we have certain subsidiaries we have co-located services with, and certain we use the IT structure based on the regulations of the country and a bank. So it's a hybrid, and we continuously evaluate that as we go on, and we continue to evaluate the markets, and we are open to collaboration with fintech. So it's not a competing environment, but it's more like a integrated environment. And that's the attitude that we carry on at Access Bank.
Thank you. What I hear you say is actually nurturing innovation within and outside the bank, within on a case-by-case basis where it can be adopted, and also in the fintech foundry where you're able to bring some of those innovations from fintechs into the bank or collaborate with those fintechs to accelerate growth, which I think is a very interesting perspective. Eunice, turning over to you and still talking about the financial sector and this transformation that we see going on. Nigeria has been working on financial inclusion. Certainly NIBS is also at the very center of that. Do you see things slowing down? What's the outlook? How do we keep achieving efficiency even as this growth comes up? How is NIBS, what does the future look like?
I don't see this trend slowing down. It's just like we've used the phone that has 16 gig RAM. Would you want to use another phone that has 4 gig RAM? Certainly no. So people have experienced what it is to have payments done online, real time, and they get instant value. Nobody wants to go back. So for financial organizations, including NIBS, there are quite some things we're doing to ensure that we continue to optimize our infrastructure so that we can improve business efficiency. And one of them is demand reduction, because for financial industries, it's good that over time and time again, we get to review our IT expenditure so that we can reduce reduce costs dramatically. And the way we can do that is look at prioritizing projects. You know, we do a lot of projects. Can we prioritize some projects that are strategic to our goals? So the ones that are strategic to our goals, we ensure that those are done. We give them higher priority. Then can we reduce our several service level agreements? Because there's some agreements that we have with vendors who say, oh, you have to provide this for me instantly once I have an issue, it's same time, same period, same hour delivery. But when you look at it, you really don't need that service that fast. It could be okay for it to be provided in 48 hours. Why don't you reduce your service level? Because when you reduce your service level, you're also going to like save on cost, because most of the cost is tied to how soon you want the service to be delivered. We can also shift workloads to off-peak period. We can cap usage, ensure that our licenses are reviewed. So you buy 600 licenses, are you using 600 or are you using 200 over the period under review? And you know, most of these demand reductions are going to help us to reduce costs and also ensure that our business is efficient. Then we can't take out cloud, you know, cloud, you know, everyone has been talking about that. So most of the financial institutions, I know they have legacy products. They're not like fintechs that are new entrants, so they can do everything cloud. Most times you still have some legacy things that would make you not go full cloud. But we can also ensure that for new applications or for new deployments that we look at hosting them in the cloud so that we don't have to keep investing in infrastructure. We don't need to spend on data center, cooling, housing, network assets, and all of that. So that's it from me. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you very much, and quite insightful as we get into the nuts and bolts. And obviously, we can already tell NIBS has a very resilient environment. Earlier on, you talked about doing disaster recovery services with MainOne, and then adjusting your SLAs to reflect the fact that you do have resiliency built into your operations, and you can fail over from one systems to the other, and thereby relax some of the things and the conditions that you have. And I think these are showing also in terms of optimizing licenses and migration to cloud, and prioritizing how businesses can continue to move at a very fast pace in terms of digital acceleration without breaking the bank. You know, all Access Bank notwithstanding, that's not your bank, but I hope you understand what I mean. Ife, I'll come over to you because as we go down this digital transformation journey and try to deploy more of these services in region for blue chip customers, such as the ones we have on the panel with us this morning, HP has partnered with MainOne, and I believe we are the first infrastructure service provider for GreenLake in West Africa. Equinix, our parent company, is also a global partner to HPE for GreenLake services. So we're really primed to go. Why is MainOne a good partner for your customers? I mean, certainly HPE has a significant presence in the banking sector, in the financial sector. And how do you expect this partnership to impact on traditional infrastructure solutions that customers in that sector have deployed?
Yeah, thank you. So for when we trust of MainOne, I'd say that it is the proverbial bits of the same feather flocks together. Yes, and this partnership is actually based on very strong synergy, based on value. Okay, mutual value. Now, as an organization, MainOne stands very tall as a company that is futuristic, customer focused, and enables the integrity of the business. And us as Packard Enterprise, operated by Select, so we are very, very proud, to partner with you and change the African narrative and beyond. Okay. Now, what's the impact of this? As enterprises recognize the fact that certain workloads are not appropriate for public cloud, then the cloud out edge-in solution like GreenLake with MainOne becomes absolutely appealing and impactful. Okay, why is that? Now, by hosting the GreenLake platform with MainOne facility, MainOne can create network hubs to in proximity to all the customers, and thereby eliminating excess costs associated with data movements, okay, while gaining low latency interconnectivities to leading networks, cloud, enterprise ecosystems, all the way from the core to the edge. Okay, so this partnership is very important to us, and it has been actually a critical success factor to what we want to do in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. So HP GreenLake with MainOne, therefore, will enable our customers to more completely define their hybrid cloud operation strategy. Okay, and this strategy will help them gain additional space for their assets, move out of data center management, eliminate associated costs with data center costs, and consume infrastructure as a service, wrapped around with enterprise support managed services. So actually you are freed up in time, freed up in space, freed up in cost, and freed up in resources to focus on the business and the core objective that your business is driving. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Focus on your business. I want to turn to Wale, who is our expert. And we've heard about how NIBS and Access Bank are accelerating and strategies they are adopting. We've heard HPE on GreenLake as an option. We know the environment we're operating in. We've talked about skill shortages and the brain drain. When you look at Nigeria today, certainly we have to look at the cost of power and just escalating costs of power across the sub-region, actually, globally, supply chain logistics. How do you advise your clients who are having these challenges? What kind of strategies, when you look at their IT operations and the need to scale, having heard some of the conversation this morning, how do you advise your clients, and what strategies do you advise them to adopt?
Wow, that's a lot of things put on the table in terms of the types of challenges that we face. But the reality is that we don't operate in an ideal environment, and we recognize that. But as a consequence of that gives us an opportunity for innovation, because what has been seen globally and historically is that the most adverse circumstances give opportunity for the most creative solutions. So essentially, what we are speaking to in terms of what our clients have had to do in terms of management, and if you even look at what COVID did as far as shifting the ways of work, is to push more of an agenda of automation, to push more of an agenda of being able to leverage cloud assets by moving critical workload to the cloud, and thereby reducing their need for power within their own business operations. And they use automation to serve as backups to create resilience in the case of manpower shortages and loss of headcount to drive operations. So being able to leverage these technologies a bit more efficiently and in creative ways has helped a lot of our clients to thrive in the midst of adversity. But that doesn't mean that investments are not required. Investments are still required beyond just leveraging technology. Investments in people, investments in environments in which we operate, making the environment more conducive, to not only build talent, but retain talent, and have a scenario that we're even building capacity beyond our immediate needs. And that will help us mitigate the risks that we're facing by our increasing, demand of our people, to relocate and jackpot, as they say, using some colloquial slang. So that being said, creativity is the key thing, and facilitating that process for our clients is what we do.
All right. No, thank you very much. Really interesting perspective. What I hear is cloud, selective adoption of cloud strategies, certainly informed and intentional in terms of the use of cloud for critical workloads. And then I also heard nurture your talent, and I guess focus the talent on those critical parts of the stack that you still need to retain in-house so that you can achieve your business objectives. Indeed, I think we're hearing from leaders across the spectrum of how you get things done in this fast-changing environment. I'll come to Ife one more time before we open it up for questions, or we take the questions that have been posted in the chat box. But Ife, again, as a major service provider, what do you advise your big customers? This is fast-changing, nimble, dynamic environment. How do IT managers, what are you advising them in terms of how they deal with these challenges?
Okay, so first and foremost, I would say that they are on the right thinking path. Digital transformation is a must in this era. Okay, so structuring and thinking through your strategy is in the right direction. However, do not overthink it, overstress it, because there's a solution to transition. Yes, and the solution is simple. Please talk to MainOne and think really with HPA. So a combination of this will give you the smoothest and easiest ride in handling the complexities that come with this digital transformation. Okay, so how do we make it easy? Now, we understand that the most critical factor in business is cost and time. Yes, so now imagine when this cost of operation is drastically reduced and your time to market improved. So this is the easiest and smoothest transition to digital transformation. And HPE really, with MainOne, provides you that easy transition. So for a future-proof digital strategy, enabling your business to securely scale while you're meeting your performance criteria in this new on-demand hybrid cloud era, you need HPE Greenlake with MainOne. Okay, so there are lots of benefits for you. Regulation alignment, data privacy, data security, fully managed, fully functional data center, okay, handled end-to-end for you, and being able to pay for infrastructure as a service, relieve cash flow, and I tell you, your CFO will love you for this. You'll be able to show clear return on investment and zero TCO, and it's wrapped around with clear support for you and resources, extra resources end-to-end for you to scale in, scale out whenever you want it, however you want it, at the time you want it. So it's easy. This is just transformation? Yes. How to do it? Quite easy. Let's talk.
All right. I have to say that is a very compelling intervention from Ife. And as we want to wrap up questions with our panelists and move to the audience, as we're running out of time, I'm not sure if we have any questions coming through from the chat box.
We do have a couple of questions. One for Eunice says, in expanding into more digitalized environment, how do you see NIBS, interconnecting with other payment platforms across Africa to improve user experience? One for Wale here says...
Okay, so we take that first.
Okay.
So Eunice, interconnection with other payment platforms, I think both in Nigeria and across Africa. Could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that question. So currently, we know that we have the Pan-African interconnection payment system currently ongoing, and NIBS is the Nigerian central switch. So we are mandated to connect to all the other central switches in Africa, and that is currently ongoing. So it's something that the future is something we cannot run away from. The inter-African trade is something that needs to happen. So the dependence on dollars and Forex would really reduce. So that's an ongoing project, and NIPS is the one driving the projects in Nigeria currently. So it's
Okay, great to hear that. I mean, and I think as we look at the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement and really increasing intra-continent trade, just as you said, that would be a key part of that. So delighted to know that we have the very brightest and the best and the strongest businesses leading that charter for us out of Nigeria.
Okay.
More questions?
Another question says, according to NITDA, the financial sector leads other sector in data privacy compliance at 41%. How do you think organizations can leverage IT outsourcing to achieve compliance with customer data privacy laws? That's directed to Wale.
Wale, data privacy. How do you think we can do better in complying with data privacy laws? I think specifically in the financial sector.
Yes.
Sure. So, the financial sector is heavily regulated and it has strict guidelines around that. So around data privacy, the only way we can do that is by constant engagement and stakeholder management. I mean, engaging the public, understanding how things are dynamically changing, doing a lot of research and development around the area, what other financial institutions in more, should I say, developed areas are doing, those that are more advanced, and aligning it and sort of localizing that around the regulatory formats. So it's constant engagement, I think, is what drives that understanding and, should I say, compliance and adherence to the regulations around that. But we are guided by that, being financial institutions, to constantly do that. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We have more. For
Sure.
IFI, okay.
Oh.
For IFI, this one says, most organizations worry about the sensitivity of their data when outsourcing IT to other infrastructure or third-party service providers. Do you have this challenge with your global enterprise customers, and have you been able to resolve them?
So that's a question for IFI in terms of perhaps when people go to the infrastructure as a service model and managing security.
Yes.
In that environment.
We have not experienced any form of growth in security. So one of the benefits and one of the critical success factors of this as a service is integral security, end to end. And like I said, that's what December put together. And we have analyzed MainOne, and have seen, okay, over time that they also have those kind of values and integral security in the way they operate their data center. So for the as a service platform, you have nothing, absolutely nothing to worry about. Security is totally embedded, totally secure, and your data and privacy is secure.
Yes, indeed. If I could add to that, I would say just for companies looking at subscribing to service models, of course, with service models, the security offerings perhaps are even more than each individual enterprise can provide in-house. Not only do you have, and I think we talked on this panel about accreditation. I think Wale spoke to us about accreditation of the service providers in terms of having security in place and having processes and doing the necessary health checks to ensure the environment is secure. But in addition, deployment of firewalls and additional security platforms that you're able to do and are necessary in that shared environment to ensure that customers subscribing to services have an adequate level of security. The MainOne MDXI data centers are certified in addition to Tier 3, ISO 27001, PCI DSS. I've also gone through SOC 2 certification. So continuing to bring excellence in terms of security to the customers that we serve, knowing that the data that we are protecting and that we're warehousing for the customers under their own control really are the crown jewels of their business, and we cannot take any chances with that. Do we
Right.
have any other questions?
Yes, we do have another question, a very tricky one at that, this next one. I would just like to encourage all our participants, customers, friends, and partners to please network in the lobby. It's really important. Talk to one another, touch base. Tricky one in the sense that this is how do you expect organizations to manage outsourced partners in the light of the current exit by talented staff overseas? This person says, I've lost two major teams from outsourced partners that exited abroad even after they are well trained and remunerated. What strategy exists for all outsourced partners to fill the gap?
Okay. Maybe that's a question directed for MainOne, but before that, maybe Wale, as a service provider from Deloitte,
Yes.
what are you saying and how are businesses coping with that?
Well, we're all facing it. It's a problem I've experienced myself with my own partners, and internally I also have the same challenge. There's only one solution, which is not what anyone wants to hear, is to build at least 3 to 4 times the capacity you need, and in terms of training. And within your workforce, you also have to capacitize at least 25-30% more headcount that then you actually need at any particular point in time, and make sure that you have almost like redundancy in terms of how to deliver, so that there's always at least one person to take up. Maybe if 2 people, one person can still step in and bridge the gap to such a person has come. It's a practice that we've got to adopt in my firm, starting from this financial year, where we are deliberately overcapacitating so as to be able to manage it. And honestly, you can't stop him from exiting. There are hygiene issues, not use that word, in our local economy that's no amount of compensation can solve. And you can't tell people not to make their moves, on that basis. But those who choose to be with us and stay with us and help us build our country further, it's important that you give them the right opportunity to training, through empowerment, by giving them an opportunity to be able to work with us. But honestly, that's what we see we can do right now, just to build as much capacity in the local economy as possible, so there's at least alternatives to pick up new skills from people who are already here when we do lose people in that moment.
All right. Thank you. I don't know if any other panelist wants to give a view on that. Certainly from a MainOne standpoint, I would say 3 key areas that I see. First, nurture your talent. So you've got to ensure that the talent that you have certainly feel they have good career opportunities, they are growing, and really being able to be a good place to work. I think that's really essential for all of us in all the different ramifications of what that is. The second is grow capacity, both in terms of new entrance into the business as well as the existing capacity that you have. The third area of focus for us, which we also think is very important for businesses, is to standardize your processes, ensure they're documented, and automate. So as you're bringing new people in, you have clear KPIs, you have clear policies and processes. One, the ease of bringing new people on board, or the ease of someone stepping into an exited colleague's role, the time to ramp up is much reduced, and you can continue to drive productivity out of your business. I think this indeed has been an incredible panel, just helping us look inwards to how you do some of these things as a practitioner that we talk about when we talk about digital transformation. We're dealing with inflation, we're dealing with supply chain delays, we're dealing with skill shortages, and obviously we're all revisiting the traditional models of how we did IT. And if you're going to grow your businesses across the continent, like Access Bank and NIBS have shown us can be done, even through difficult times, then you certainly know that interconnection, co-location, managed services, such in Green Lake, cloud services, are some of the strategies that our most competitive companies are adopting to drive their growth. I want to thank our panelists for their time this morning. Really appreciate the insights that you've been able to share with us. And I want to thank our audience as well for the questions that came in to this wonderful session. Thank you very much.
And just to cap things with closing remarks, we've got Benga Adigbiji, the COO of MDXI, to just give us a cap on all of this today.
It's been an interesting time with you all. And on behalf of MainOne, I would like to thank you all for your participation at this year's event. I hope it's been very insightful for you as much as it has been for us. This year's edition of Net Unite has been put together to show or to showcase the power of interconnections and how this interconnection affects your businesses and your business growth and decisions. As part of the MainOne, as part of Equinix, we are now have, customers now have access to interconnection, and a very large ecosystem of data centers across 66 geographies, all over the world. And we at MainOne, we believe that now business is borderless and opportunities are countless. So we expect that our customers and our partners will take this opportunity to leverage their business growth. A very big thank you to our colleagues from Equinix for their support in making this year's a very good success. To our able panelists as well, we want to thank you all from Meta, from HP by Selectium, Access Bank, Lagos Free Zone, NIBS, Tizeti, Eco Distribution Company, and Deloitte. We appreciate you all for your insightful contribution. The event is closing now, but we want you to stay close to our social media, and we want to have the contribution and your connections to continue to come up. We want to thank you all again. We have all our account managers and sales team. They are ready and very available to support you as you take the next decision in your critical business journey. Thank you all very much, and we expect to see you next year, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.